everyone, it's Connor back from This Old Farm, and today on this bright and sunny spring day we are up to a little bit of a project here. We have the Farmall H and our John Deere Brunt grain drill. So normally when we'd plant, let me shut the tractor off here quick so we're not making so much noise. Normally when we plant here, we have to use either one of the 806s or the Super M, because normally right here we would have a two-way hydraulic cylinder, which means you have the push and then you have a pull. Whereas this one is just considered a one-way, where it's push. It's got power push and then it's just gravity fed back down. And this is actually one of the cylinders from the cultivators that we used to have on the H here. And as you can see, we had to do a little bit of fabricating. We got this little fancy old pipe here with these, they almost look like tie rods, but they aren't. Or tie rod ends, I should say, but they aren't. I have no idea where they came from, or what they're for, what they do. But they're on there. We welded them on, and then we also put a washer down on this end with a hole small enough. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. A small enough hole that the actual cylinder doesn't push through the end, so that we have our lift. And then of course we have our ratchet strap here to keep pressure down on these, because otherwise the springs on them here don't keep enough tension. But what we're out here doing is we're out in the cattle pasture here, and we're trying to plant down some seed. You guys should remember from the last video, we came through and with Brigham here and drug out our cow pies and stuff that were out here. You can kind of see it's all just nice and spread out. And now what we're coming through with Mo as we're reseeding. Now last night, me and Dad were out here working up. I was gonna make a video using the old iPhone because I didn't have the GoPro with, but I decided we're just gonna scrap that and I'll redo this. We got enough to do. We got the rest of this field. We've got another field over there, and then we've also got a small field in between the first plow day field and the other side of the field. We plant corn on those two. And then we've got a strip of hay going down the middle that we'll plant that. If we have some left, we'll do that last. But more than likely we'll have enough after we get this area done to go over and do that area. And then once we're done with that, we'll see what is going on up there, if we got enough or whatnot. So anyways, that's enough of me blabbling my lips. Let's get moving. So I guess one thing I didn't do, and I kind of usually like to do, is sort of explain how this, I guess we'll say implements, explain how the implements work and sort of what they do. So what we'll go through here is, we'll just kind of explain. Now this particular seed drill, as you can see, has no sort of PTO pickup, and the reason being for that is the actual wheels here on both sides drive the, oh, we lost the chain, actually drive the entire drill. Now I've never actually looked in here, but I presume, and maybe if we, yep, my presumption was right. When you at the bottom of the shaft here where the wheel comes across, there's a sprocket, and there's a chain that runs in here, drives another sprocket up at the top here, and that comes up here and drives this bar. Now this bar is constantly spinning, but the only time it's actually driving the chains and actually driving these gears in the back, which spin the seed out. As you should be able to see, there's a gear down in there that this shaft spins. And then this chain here drives the little, this would be your, like, where you'd put your alfalfa seed in that boxes. The only time those are all, it's actually driving or running the seeder is when you have the hydraulic down. Now, so when you drop down the hydraulics, what it does is it lets, there's this little plate here twists with the bar, because the bar will either turn up or turn down. And when it turns up, it pushes on this plate back here that slides it onto this drive sprocket, and that just allows it to slip. So this way, this bar in the back here can sit and constantly spin and not drive these. Now in the back here, I'm not exactly 100% sure how that works, but it also in some form or way unlocks itself so that that no longer is, this all isn't being driven anymore. And there's probably a sprocket in there somewhere that that gets turned with the shaft. It could be, you know, anyways, it doesn't matter. But and then we'll use these boxes for an example, since these ones should be full of seed. Is down here, hopefully you can see way down in there, there is this little kind of sprocket looking deal, and that, what that does is it'll take your seed, which sits in the box here, and it grabs it and it spits it down into the tube, and then the tube lets it drop down. On the back it works a little bit differently, because it's still got the same setup here where we've got the little gear looking thing that grabs the seed and brings it down, and then it brings it into these little cups here, which you can see. The seed goes down into that, and then it drops into these metal tubes here, which bring it down, and then these discs open up the earth, as you can see here, and then the cast piece here where the tube goes into, it kind of rides in. What that does is it drops the seed right directly, and if there's one in there, there we go. It drops it directly into the path, and then as you can see, we've got our seedlings in the path. And then the idea is that once you've got your, when you've got these drags on the back, the idea is that they will come through and cover down the ground. Now, of course, sometimes you get ones that fall off. Like I think there's supposed to be one on the end there, and that guy must have fell off. I think there's one there that fell off. So we've, of course, lost a couple, and that's the idea. The chain is sort of to help with that, but of course, that doesn't always work either. Especially doesn't help when we got a strap underneath it. But we'll get our little drag here hooked back onto our chain, and we'll get back to drilling. Okay, so after having lifted it up here and moving over to our next field, I can see how they get this to work, or how they get this drive sprocket to either stop turning the big box seeder here. Sorry. What they do is they've got this big lever here, and what happens is there's this little tab here which comes down, and when you raise it up, what happens is this bar turns. Sorry, I'm pointing in the air. This bar turns like this. It goes up. And so what happens is this little tab gets pushed down. It pushes down on this lever, which then pushes down on this sprocket and takes it off of the drive sprocket. And of course that stops driving everything else. So that's how they stop that. And here you can see what I was talking about with the how it takes it out of the gear. No longer is it spinning in the teeth. It's now just this sprocket over here is spinning, and this one on this side is just idling, or not doing anything. So there we go. everybody, that's gonna be it for that one. We're all planted up now. There was one more field Dad wanted me to do, but we ran out of seed. So we've got this entire field pretty much planted, and we've also got that other field hopefully pretty much planted. The only other field, like I said at the beginning, was that one down the middle. That's no big deal. We didn't have to hit that. It's just basically all we're trying to do is get a little bit more fill out of it, I guess you could call it, a little bit more of a yield from our fields. So that's gonna be it for planting. I'm gonna take our little packer there. You should be able to see, should have seen too with us going around possibly. That's just a couple of 55-gallon drums, or roughly that amount, that we'll take off one of the caps and just fill up some water into it and then go out there and pull it. So I won't film any of that because that's not very interesting. It's just pulling these barrels around. So anyways, that's gonna be it for planting with, or yeah, I guess we'll call it planting, drilling, whatever you want to call it, with mow and the John Deere drill here. Hopefully you guys will have enjoyed. Hopefully you maybe learned a little bit there. Get you out of the camera, out of the glare of the sun. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed and learned a little bit from it. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys all next time.